Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for attending. It's 8 a.m. and I would like to call the May 25th Finance Committee meeting to order. We have a physical quorum, so I would like to entertain a motion for those members not physically present due to coronavirus to participate by video or teleconference.
Second Garcia.
We have a motion by Member Rutledge, a second by Member Garcia. Any discussion? This one we need a roll call. Roll call, please.
Member Renahan. Member Rutledge.
Here.
Member Schwarzy.
Here.
Member Tornatori.
Here.
Member Zay.
Oh, guys, we're doing a
Aye.
vote to let those participate.
So, aye.
Okay, continue.
Member Chaplin.
Aye.
Member Chavez.
Aye.
Member Eckhoff. Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Hart. Member LaPlante.
Aye.
And Member Pachowski.
Okay, all ayes, the motion carries. And with that, can we please have a roll call?
Member Chaplin.
Here.
Member Chavez.
Here.
Member Covert.
Here.
Member Dessart.
Here.
Member DeCiani. Member Eckhoff.
Here.
Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Hart. Member Krajewski.
Here.
Member LaPlante.
Here.
Member Ozog.
Here.
Member Pachowski.
Here.
Member Renahan. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy.
Here.
Member Feldman. Member Tornatori.
Here.
Member Zay.
Here.
Okay, everyone is here. We have a quorum. Do we have any public comment? Okay, no public comment. I will move on to my chairman's remarks. So last week on May 17th, the county received $89,633,292.50 as part of our federal allocation under the American Rescue Plan. This is 50% of our full allocation, which was $179,266,585. Per Treasury guidelines, the other half of the allocation is to be received no year after the first payment. Funds must be obligated by December 31st, 2024 and spent by December 31st, 2026. We will have a series of presentations from staff to assist us as we decide how to allocate DuPage funds. The first presentation in Finance Committee will be on June 8th. We will provide an overview of Treasury guidance and will generally educate us as to the rules for expenditures. We will receive a great deal of information, but please bear in mind that the primary focus of the plan is to support immediate pandemic response. So think of expenses related to COVID and to lay a groundwork for a strong, equitable recovery. On June 8th, we will also consider a schedule for further sessions, including county government allocations, including the health department, economic recovery, including presentations from Choose DuPage and Convention and Visitors Bureau, community service, and general government agencies. So we'll put those all on a schedule to talk about those. And as you know, we've been through the process of federal allocation recently under the CARES Act. Our county staff has learned a great deal from the CARES Act, and we are convinced that we can allocate these funds in a timely and equitable manner. So again, we'll have that first discussion on June 8th. Also, on today's agenda, we will have an update that will be provided from our workman's comp team, TPA Corbel and Pat Genovese, and our 457 deferred comp team, Mesro and ICMA. So I'm looking forward to those presentations. And last but not least, also in the packet, you'll find the financial and budget policies. This is a great resource to use throughout the budget process. So with that, I'll move to approve the minutes of the finance meeting of May 11th, 2021. Second? Okay, moved by Member Chaplin, second by Member Garcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next, I'll move to approve budget transfers FIR 029321 from May 25th, 2021 for various companies and accounts. There's a second. second member Hart. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Next, I'll move to approve consent items A through F.
Second.
Second, member Garcia. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. That we move on to item 8, procurement requisition, and that is finance. Member Kowski, please.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I move on change order for the Robert Crown Center, a decrease and closeout of PO 1978.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, member Garcia. Discussion, member Garcia?
Yeah, just a quick question on this. I got my answer for this because of course I'm a big proponent of the Robert Crown Center and I want to make sure that we're continuing to fund this. I was told that it's still being funded through the Hope Task Force, I believe. So I just want to make sure that it's aware that this is something I hope goes forth, because this contract was like 2017, so this is an old contract. But I'm hoping the funding continues to go forth for the Robert Crown Center. So just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
Great. Any other discussion on this? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, member Krajewski. On to development, member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCR 282-21, resolution DCR 282-21. This is an additional appropriation for building zoning planning fund for a seller permitted software implementation and related expenses in the amount of $749,600.
Second.
We have a motion by member Tornatori, a second by member Puchowski. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good morning, member DeCiani. Thank you. We move on to economic development. Member Chavez.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I would like to move approval of EDP 117-21, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to CIII GSMS 07-GG10 corporate rates for rental office space for the period of January 1st, 2021 through November 30th, 2032. This is for workforce development for a total contract amount not to exceed $4,549,290.
So moved.
A second. Second by member Rutledge. Member Puchowski.
I really have issues with an 11-year lease. I thought we passed something and we could only have a 5-year lease. And I know that was done. And I have a whole bunch of other issues after I get that resolved. I don't see how this is in the best interest of the county. This lease goes $158,000 year 1, $166 year 2, and then year 4 goes to $364, almost a $200,000 increase. And then each year it's almost a 5% increase. I pay rent, and every time my lease gets increased, it was 3%. I don't know if the state's attorneys reviewed this, but I don't know why we have an 11-year lease, because we can do a 5-year with a 5-year option. I don't know how these numbers, I know it's a little bit less space, but we are learning to work remotely. And then to go from year 2 to 166 to year 4, 364, almost a $200,000 increase is to me unconscionable. So I would either be voting against this or motion to table it, because I'd like to have somebody explain to me how an 11-year lease with these terms and conditions are in the best interest of the county. Thank you.
Thank you, member. Do we have anybody that can answer member Puchowski's question? Okay, come on up there.
Thank you. All very good questions. So a little bit of history on this one. Obviously, WorkNet has been in this location for a very long time. We hired CBRE approximately a year ago, and they did a fairly in-depth, I mean, we looked at other options out there. The 11-year lease actually was arrived at through a comparison. And I know we've got Greg Bedeloff on the line, but they were extremely aggressive pricing. I will tell you the one thing that, as far as the difference, it's actually the rent is for the first 2 years is stable throughout, but there is a rebate back from that's how the industry works, I guess. They're giving a rebate back. So it's not the increase in it. Am I saying that correctly? There is actually a rebate back from a budgetary standpoint. WorkNet is extremely happy with this lease. It's actually less money than they're paying now. So we did a fairly extensive analysis of all the different office space throughout DuPage County and found this was in the best interest of WorkNet.
So that lease in 2 years was 364, less than what we paid, because I really hope we have something more on it. Because in year 4, I'm sorry, in year 4, it goes to 364. So that is, you're telling me, and I realize that the first 2 years are discounted. I just don't see how we don't do a 5-year to 5-year, and it's almost a 5% increase. And my real estate is 3%. I just would like to, this doesn't start until January. I'd like to have something more on this because I'm very uncomfortable one with an 11-year lease because I thought we had something as an ordinance, we don't do a 5-year lease. And the terms and conditions of this lease, to me, seem unconscionable with COVID. Everybody's working remotely and it's a little bit less space. So I think we kept 302, we gave up unit 105 the way it looks. But from year 2 to year 4 to go almost up $200,000. I'd like an explanation as to that. I don't think we have to pass this today either.
And I just want to make sure, I'd be happy, what we can do is we can have our consultant CBRE actually come in, meet with you, explain the thing. Is there a time issue that?
No.
So
It
we,
starts in January. And if I'm the only one that has a problem, because I'll just vote no. But I'm telling you, I'd like to know how this is in the best interest of DuPage County, and I want to see how we comparative shop. So this is a really good deal, because I'm not seeing it from year 2 to year 4. And it's almost a 5% increase each year, where I think it should be 3 years. I would love that. Thank you.
I would defer to the chair about holding off, but we'd be happy to arrange a meeting with CBRE to come in and explain the process and have WorkNet. But
I'll motion the table then.
So,
Yes,
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a huge rush on this. However, I think that this is actually a really good deal for the county. I think a lot of work has gone into this. So I would like, just so that the members for today get a little baseline information, if Greg's on the phone, if he could talk them through, just so that we don't leave on an unsettled note. I'd like everyone on the board to feel a little bit more comfortable. Or whomever.
and we have a couple stats we can give you about what they're paying now, just to give an idea.
Yes, but I think we can have a hearing, people in the tell us that. So I'll make a motion to table this,
Yeah, I see.
so we can have the.
There's a few other questions, so can we maybe ask all the questions, then have you guys answer them?
Sure.
That would be okay? Okay, so I see Member Krajewski, Member Zay, Member Desart. So Member Krajewski?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair.
We can't hear you, Brian.
You're on mute.
My question is on the agenda. It says January 1st of 2021. Have we already started this lease? Or is it 2022?
It's retro back when we sign it. They have a current lease right now, so it's retro back whenever we started.
And the first lease was 5 years, correct? This lease started in 2006. So the first
So-
lease was 5
so-
years.
So we're 5 years into this lease that we haven't approved yet, or 5 months into this lease we haven't approved?
No, we have a current lease right now with them.
Yeah,
And as part of the negotiation, the time will start whenever we do it, whether we wait 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever, it makes no difference. That's part of the negotiation.
that's correct.
Okay.
This lease started in 2006. I'd like to know why we don't have a 5-year with a 5-year option, and why are we doing this a year retroactive anyway? So I'd like a presentation.
Absolutely.
So again, I'm still confused. The agenda we're voting on is from January 1st, except do we have a current lease?
We have a current lease, and once it's approved, it would supersede the current lease. It would take out the current lease and give us the new lease.
When does our current lease expire?
End of November, our current lease expires.
November of this year? Okay. Why wouldn't it just start December 1?
Yeah, we save money by doing it this way.
Okay.
Member Zay?
Thank you. A couple of things. Nick, you said this was a year-long process, probably the worst time to ever look for business property, because as every major corporation is trying to dump their commercial or their business office space, I think it needs to have another look at. When you sign a long-term lease, there's supposed to be a benefit for it, not a 5% increase every year. I mean, I think that's what the troubling part. If we're going to sign a long-term lease and lock us in at a standard amount, not continue to give us a 5% increase every year. I mean, what's the advantage of that? I mean, over 11 years, that's, like Don said, I mean, that's a huge increase to us. And it should be a savings because we're getting smaller space. So don't tell me we're saving. Yeah, we better because we're getting less space that we're releasing, right? I mean, that's part of it. So again, troubling 11-year lease when right now, if you drive around, see every office complex is empty. I think this is probably the wrong time to go into a long-term lease. I mean, 5 years is fine with an option, but to go 11 years and have this huge of an increase. I mean, again, if you're in business, if you're going to do a long-term lease, there's something in it for you, not a 5% increase every year. It should be flat in certain years at that point.
And we
So I agree
definitely
with Member Wachowski. I think we just need to get more information on this and why we're doing this at this time.
Why don't we have, if it's okay with the Chair of Economic Development, maybe we can ask CBRE to come in, give a presentation at the next finance, and we can go through that. But as far as the COVID impact, that's the reason why we did get aggressive pricing throughout. I mean, we absolutely, the COVID was incorporated. It was definitely a back and forth. So, I mean, we're very comfortable, and once CBRE comes in, explains the process, we're hopeful that, it'll answer the questions.
And Nick, if I may, this is Lisa Shavak from Working at DuPage, and maybe I can assuage some of the concerns going into that full CBRE presentation. The 11-year lease, there is a exit option at the 6-year point. And Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are actually like max value. The terms of the contract, you step in, Tim, if I'm misspeaking, but my understanding is that this represents a max value of the contract. And I think that is part of what CBRE will explain when they present. Being that we're the Career Center, the American Job Center, federally funded American Job Center for the county, we will always need to have substantial space for the public to utilize the services. So I kind of considered scaling back and remote, but obviously a lot of people, are still going to need to be always coming in person to receive their services here in the county. And CBRE, what they explained to us is that the best pricing that we could get would be with that 11-year term lease with that exit potential at the 6-year point.
Member Desart, did you have a question?
I had a comment. Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a comment, the same one that Member Krajewski brought up about the January 1st start date and why we were voting on this several months later, but that question has been answered. Secondly, I have a concern about the 11-year lease. I think this is the wrong time to get into that kind of contract, an 11-year lease when people are dumping their office properties. So I would second Member Krajewski or Member Pachalski's motion to table this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Krajewski, please.
Yeah, again, as the office spaces are emptying up right now, you can pick up a lot of office space for, say, 3 years, pick up somebody else's lease because they've gone under or they've closed down and they've given it out dirt cheap. And we've had some discussion recently about this new crime bill of adding more state's attorneys, adding more public defenders, new building. I mean, can we look at possibly over the next several months of maybe picking up a 3-year lease, a sublease from somebody who's gone out with space, and look at even constructing our own building for the needs that we have. We have the property, and this is $4.9 million we're going to spend. And if we're going to have to bring all these additional people on, we need more space. We could construct our own building in a 3-year time frame if that's potentially an option. We have the property. If we could have a permanent site for these guys here versus doing a long-term lease. And there's a lot of small leases you can pick up for short term, 3 years, 4 years, 2 years. It's left on somebody that's gone out. But I don't know. It just seems like an awful lot of money in 11 years that we could do on our own property.
And the one thing I would comment, and maybe Lisa can maybe expand on it, that this money for this lease is definitely federal money as part of the federal program. And I think there might be restrictions for construction for a building, but Lisa, I don't know if you can expand on that.
Yeah, we would not have the option of using this for construction. It's solely federal funds for program costs.
Oh, we would build a building and lease it to you for fair market value. We're not going to use their money to construct it.
Okay, thank you.
I think you can do that, right? You can lease any building for fair market value, even if it's owned by a government.
Correct.
Okay, we have
Yeah, so yeah, that doesn't, I mean, so yeah, it's not construction. You would just be paying us the fair market lease.
we have member Chavez, member Ozag, and then member Renahan.
Chairwoman, I do want everyone to feel exceptionally comfortable with this, so I appreciate that a lot of our members would like more information, so let's definitely move forward with tabling this, I think, for now. I do want to remind everyone that one of the nice things about this location is they're co-located with DuPage, which I think is very, very important. And also, I don't think it's the time for us to be going into building excess office space. We've just all acknowledged that there's already too much office space available. So I don't think it would behoove the county to look into building. But I do think that we should move forward with bringing more information.
Thank you. Member Ozak?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Is there an option for any extension in the November 31st or November 30th deadline, end of this contract, the existing lease?
And the current lease does not have an option for past November 30th.
Okay, thank you.
Member Renahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Tim, I'd like to thank you for your hard work on this. I know, sometimes really the best time to go into a contract is when things have hit rock bottom. So I think was kind of the objective here. I did have some of the same concerns about 11-year lease. I mean, that's a long lease, but I think it would be helpful to have CBRE come in because there is some rent abatement here. If you kind of start digging into the lease, I mean, there's what, $300,000 right off the top. But if anybody wants to know more, I'm still listening. I did vote for it, and could be a good deal.
We could definitely have we have CBRE prepare a PowerPoint, and with all the history of what we did, the kind of a conceptual of the lease, how we got there, the next finance, if that meets your
Sure,
approval.
I think that would be great. Yes. So do we have a motion on the floor to table, Member Pachowski? And we had a second by Member Desart, or?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. So that motion will bring this back in 2 weeks. Okay, thank you so much, Member Chavez. Okay, with that, we move on to Health and Human Services, Member Renahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of HHS CO 521, a contract for accounting principles, EBA Agilon for temporary staffing for the care center, January 25th, 2021, January 24th, 2022, to increase in the amount of $125,000.
Is there a second? Second by Member DeCiani. Any discussion? Member Garcia?
Yeah, this is just an ongoing thing. I mean, I understand that they are in dire need of getting the help right now, but we're looking at increase for temporary help again. So here we are again getting temporary help instead of getting permanent help I think that the DuPage County Care Center should be looking at. I'm always more in favor of getting permanent staff for the county instead of going outsourcing. So I think they've been looking and we're not able to find staff that would be able to do this job, but I'm hoping that they will continue looking and that they will get this. This is a huge increase, 833% plus. So I'm just hoping that we can really start having a serious discussion about paying our people at the care center a little bit more money.
Any response or anything, or no? I know it's been an ongoing issue over there. We're working on it. A lot of it has to do with staffing levels as well. I know.
I can speak. This is Janelle.
Yeah, Janelle can talk to it a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. So these are our Medicaid billers in our finance department. We have 3 vacancies right now. We had 2 that, as a result of their education and growth, they've taken other roles within the county outside of the care center. So these Medicaid billing and Medicaid eligibility and approval obviously is very important. So Agilon is an accounting temp company that we've used, and we've been able to do even a temp to hire. Certainly we understand the challenge that temporary staff brings. We too would love to bring in permanent staff every time. Keep in mind that we are in the middle of contract negotiations. with the union, so that limits our ability to make changes in a lot of areas related to recruitment. But that's certainly something we are focused on.
Thanks so much, Chanel. And as we talk about these items, keep these items in your mind for budgetary going forward, because this all would have to be a priority in our budget. So thank you. So with any other discussion on this item? Okay.
Good question.
Oh, Member Chavez? And then Member Kajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I just want to reiterate what you just said. I think when we look at the next budget, we're going to have to look at some incentives, maybe incentives for some of these staff staying to a 12-month mark, an 18-month mark, and maybe there is a monetary incentive, because I think we're running into this, to Member Deacon Garcia's point, I think we're running into this across the county, and I think we're going to have to look at some incentives, some increased pay to really be able to honor the hard work that our county employees put in, and also make sure that they want to stay here and continue to dedicate their time to the county. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Member Krajewski?
Yeah, just again, a quick question on this one. This contract started January 25th of 2021. I mean, we're a third of the contract's over and we haven't even voted on it yet. Again, have we started it? And
This is a change order, Member Krajewski?
So we ran out of the money that we.
Correct. We
Yeah.
needed more, right, the original contract, and then we had 2 more vacancies.
Well,
where
why
people
wouldn't it
left.
start? Why wouldn't it start today then going forward?
I believe that would just be a change order to increase the current contract amount. The contract components would remain the same. It's just a dollar amount that would need to increase.
Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Brian.
The original contract that we were increasing started January 25th. That was the original contract, and now we've already run out of money and we're increasing it.
I would, you know what, I don't know if Christine's on that she can speak to that, or procurement is. I don't have that in front of me, but I can certainly get that answer for you.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Christine says that's a yes.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you, and we move on to judicial public safety. Member Renahan.
Thank you. I move approval of JPSP 11321, contract purchase order with Logicalis to provide ongoing cloud services and technical support, July 1st, 2021, June 30th, 2026, for the circuit court clerk, not to exceed $1,069,690.
Second to start.
We have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Desart. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Member Renahan.
I move approval of JPSP 11621, contract purchase order with Dur Graphics and custom filing for 2022 case file system, also for the circuit court clerk, not to exceed $34,153.89.
Second to start.
We have a motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Desart. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. And Member Renahan.
I move approval of JPSP 11421 with contract with Dr. Tara Fulmer for evaluation of offenders that are referred by the court for probation and court services, June 13th, 2021 through June 12th, 2022, not to exceed $97,500.
Second to start.
A motion by Member Renahan, a second by Member Desart. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Member Renahan. With that, we move on to Public Works, Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I move for approval of FMP 011921, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Airways Systems Incorporated for semi-annual cleaning of kitchen ducts, hoods, and fans for the Judicial Office Facility, JTK Administration Building, Jail and Care Center for Facilities Management for a 2-year period, May 26, 2021 through May 25th, 2023, for a total contract amount not to exceed $35,196 per lowest responsible bid.
Second to start.
The motion by Member Ozog, a second by Member Desart. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Ozog?
Thank you. I move for approval of FMP 01-2021, recommendation for the approval of a contract to E Technologies Incorporated to furnish and deliver an uninterruptible power supply unit for backup to the power plant boilers for facilities management for the period through November 30th, 2021, for a contract total amount not to exceed $96,505 per lowest responsible bid.
Second, Desart.
We have a motion by member Ozag, a second by member Desart. Discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Ozag?
Thank you. I move for approval of PWP 012221, recommendation for approval of a contract to Waste Management of Illinois Incorporated for refuse disposal and recycling services for the Vector Station at Woodridge Green Valley Treatment Facility for the period June 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022, for a total contract amount not to exceed $47,000 per renewal option under bid number 2057 PW, first of 3 possible renewals.
Second, Desart.
We have a motion by member Ozag, a second by member Desart. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Ozag?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And finally, I move for approval of PWP 012121, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Dynamic Industrial Services Incorporated for painting and reconditioning of 2 county-owned water towers for Public Works for the period May 25th, 2021 through November 30th, 2022, for a total contract amount not to exceed $1,041,900 per lowest responsible bid.
Second, Desart.
We have a motion by member Ozag, a second by member Desart.
Discussion.
Yes, member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I would just like Nick to talk about, Mr. Cottonhart to talk about some of the issues we had with this company, and then kudos to our staff for working everything out. So if Nick could give us a little history on this, and then I'd just like to offer my thanks for working with all parties to make this work. Nick?
Yes, thank you. No, this was a great final product. It was obviously, we bid this out. They were our low bidder by about $100,000. The Painters Union raised a couple concerns. We worked very closely with them to resolve those concerns. And they actually, it's my understanding, I think they became a certified member of the Painters Union as part of this. So I think the end result was very positive, even to the standpoint of after that connection, we're going to be sending a number of our staff over the Painters Union for some training over there as well. So it was a good final product. I think we've got a good contractor. The union's going to be definitely involved. So our final product is going to be beneficial for everybody.
Thank you. So Madam Chair, I just wanted to recognize the hard work of our staff. Thanks.
Thank you, member Desart.
Thank you, members of Desart. Also, this company has a presence. One of the issues is this company had a presence in Illinois, but it's headquartered in Indiana. So working with the Painters Union, we feel confident that Illinois workers will be working on this project. So that was one of the main issues, and I was really pleased with how we resolved it. So thank you for your input, member Desart. And there we are. So if we can have a second and move, we had a second.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, member Ozag.
Thank you.
To technology, member Hart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one item today. I'll move on TEP 28021, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Physicians Record Company to furnish and deliver printed carbonless form to various county offices and departments.
We have a motion by member Hart, a second by member Garcia. Discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, member Hart. That we move on to transportation, member Puchowski.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. I would move to approve DTP 118-21, a contract to HW Lochner for professional construction and engineering services for improvements along Grand Avenue for a contract not to exceed $658,972.45.
We have a motion by member Puchowski, a second by member Garcia. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Pachowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve DTP 11521, a contract to Max Body Shop for auto body repairs as needed for the Department of Transportation for a contract not to exceed $85,000.
Second, Shorzy.
We have a motion by member Pachowski, a second by member Schwarzy. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Pachowski.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Move to approve DTR 28121, a resolution to Schroeder Asphalt Services for asphalt services at intersections improvement, an estimated county cost of $685,153.28 per low bid.
We have a motion by member Pachowski, a second by member Garcia. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member
Thank
Pachowski.
you, Madam Chair. Move to approve DTR 28021, awarding resolution to H&H Electric Company for LED traffic signal head replacement at various locations within DuPage County for an estimated county cost of $198,065.12 per low bid.
We have a motion by member Pachowski, a second by member Garcia. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Member Pachowski.
Madam Chairman, on item 5, I'd move to discharge the Transportation Committee.
Okay, we have a motion to discharge committee. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Member
Thank you, Madam
Pachowski.
Chairman. Move to approve DTR 28321, awarding resolution to H&H Electric Company for traffic signal uninterrupted power supply and communication upgrades at various locations with DuPage County for an estimated county cost of $777,668.12 per low bid.
We have a motion by member Pachowski, a second by member DeCiani. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Member Pachowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve DTR 27921, a resolution for additional appropriation for the local gasoline tax fund accounting unit for $749,600.
Second to start.
We have a motion by member Pachowski, a second by member Zay. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam
Member
Chairman. My last item is a change order, so move to approve DTR 46C20, an amendment to a resolution for the re-execution of a local public agency agreement between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for improvements along 31st Street with no change in county costs.
We have a motion by member Pachowski, a second by member Renahan. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, member
Thank
Pachowski.
you, Madam Chair.
Finance resolutions, member Krajewski.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0273-21, resolution revision to the personnel budget, Sheriff's Office.
Second to start.
We have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Desart. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0274-21, resolution for additional appropriations for the general fund for $156,450, the Sheriff's Office.
Second to start.
We have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Desart. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0275-21, resolution. It's acceptance and appropriation of the HUD 2020 for $188,556.
We have a motion, by member Krajewski, a second by member Garcia. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FIR 0284-21, resolution placing names on payroll.
We have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Garcia. Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. I do have a question about interns. I am glad and I fully support paying our interns, but I'm noticing the pay discrepancy, $13 an hour, $14 an hour, $20 an hour in some cases. I'm wondering, could we create a policy to make the hourly rate we pay interns company-wide? Or is there something I'm not understanding about the needs or duties of each department required?
Can anybody address that? Yeah, or
So there is a countywide policy. We actually meet with all the departments. Now electeds can do what they want to, but as far as the departments under the county board, it does change. Every year they come back, returning people come back with $1 extra. So if they're here 3 or 4 years, there'll be $1 extra. There's, different levels. If you're in the field and DOT or Public Works, there is a incentive for that. So there is a rhyme or reason for what we're paying. We can absolutely provide that to everybody prior to county board. But all the department heads get together, work with HR. We figure out what the market rate is. Some of, like I know stormwater, DOT and Public Works, we hire engineering interns. We pay them a premium to attract them. So there is a rhyme or reason for what we're doing for our interns and our co-ops. And then we also have what's called seasonal employees. Those are high school kids that come in, do a lot of the labor work out in the field. And that's a set amount among the departments to make it fair, because what we don't want to have is say all of the summer help wanting to go to DOT because they're paying an extra $2. And so we try to be consistent across the board.
Thank you, Nick. I do appreciate that explanation, and I would like to see something before county board, but on this, on today's agenda are a couple of $13 and $14 an hour interns. And I think Animal Services 2 weeks ago had a $20 per hour intern. So yeah, if I could see that information before county board, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much, Nick. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, seeing none, the motion carries. Okay, Member Krajewski.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I move on FICO 0006-21, amendment to the resolution FIP 0032-21, issued to Bond Dixon and Associates to provide continued representation for the election department, $100,000.
We have a motion by Krajewski, second by Member Yanni, and Member Ozak, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question about this. I'd like to know a little more background on what the original agreement is and what our 2021 amount was originally to Mr. Bond. If we've got some further background on that.
Do we have anyone from the election division on? State's Attorney Connor?
Thank you, Member Ozog, and thank you, Chair. I don't have the original funding amount in front of me. But I could tell you this is an estimate based on the increased number of recounts and also the increased amount of litigation regarding the prior elections. So we've been trying to keep the cost down as best we can. I can inquire with finance in my office and try and get an answer for what the original estimated amount was.
I'd appreciate that before county board if possible. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Oh, Jeff, come on up, please. Thank you.
The original amount was $100,000.
Okay.
For fiscal year 2021.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on FICO 0495-21, amendment to resolution FIP 0282-19, issued to Rock, Fusco, and Connolly LLC to provide continued legal services.
We have a motion by Krajewski. Is there a second? Second by Member DeCiani. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. We move on to budget. Member Krajewski.
And move on our budget preparation instructions for fiscal year 2022 budget preparation instructions.
Have a motion by member Krajewski, a second by member Rutledge. Discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Informational items? Member Krajewski?
I think I just did number one there, the budget
Oh,
preparation
I'm sorry.
instructions.
You didn't put combine. Okay, please proceed. Sorry.
Okay, I'll motion to approve and combine 2 and 3 FIR 0290-21, which is our fiscal year 2022 budget calendar, and then FIR 0289-21, which is our fiscal year 2022 financial and budget policies. So motion to approve and combine and approve both of them.
We have a motion to combine and approve items 2 and 3 under number 10 budget. Okay, member Zay.
Yes, just had one question. It says here on the budget calendar that the budget survey is going to go out May 26th. Are we going to have a chance to see those questions prior to it being posted?
The budget survey, we sent out an email. We asked for questions. It's not going out May 26th. We're going to start preparing it on May 26th. So
We'll be able to see those questions before they go out?
absolutely. We
Okay,
plan to,
thank you.
yeah, we want everybody's input on those. So thank you very much for the question.
Comment?
Yes, member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I have a question about the budget calendar. Per county board rules, September 14th is the first regularly scheduled board meeting in September, and the date the chairman is to present the budget to the board as provided by law. And I know that the Rules Committee is working on amending that to the second meeting in September, but that has not been approved by the Rules Committee nor by the county board. So as it stands now, the chairman should be presenting the budget on September 4th, which is, or 14th rather, which is the first county board meeting in September until that Rules Committee edits are approved.
Yes, thank you so much for the question, member Desart. And I have reached out to State's Attorney's Office to see how we can go ahead and amend the board rules at our next meeting to reflect the change to this second Tuesday of the month. Yes, Nick, please.
And Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, the fact, the county board rules that this board set for when it's due, you guys can change it as you see fit. This resolution would supersede that because you're setting the rules. And it's my understanding, since it's not a state requirement, it's your own rules, that you can set it however you want to. Is that correct, Connor?
That is correct. This resolution would supersede the rules requirement because it specifically addresses and sets a different schedule. I would also point out the requirement. Code, bless you. The requirement relating to the property tax code requires that a budget be approved in a September session, and prevailing law establishes that as long as the September session is adjourned, you can approve it at any meeting of the September session. So the practice of this board has always been to adjourn the September session up until the passage of the final budget. So that.
Thank you, A.J. McCarthy. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate the info.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions on these items? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Mayor and Chair. I move to receive and place on file informational items: A, payment of claims; B, wire transfers; C, appointments; and D, grant proposal notifications.
We have a motion from member Krajewski and a second by member DeCiani on informational items. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you so much, member Krajewski. We move on to item 12, presentations. An update from our workman's comp, and we will be hearing from Corbell. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and the board. I just want to thank you on behalf of Corbell for the opportunity to present on the workers' compensation program. 5 years ago, when we presented in front of you, we talked about addressing old historical claims and pivoting our focus to really, as we resolved all of the historical information and the retrospective processes, to get into new claims and to get those resources on those new claims early. And we're going to present the information of what has transpired over the last 5 years. If we can just go ahead and change the slide. Our goals that we established, and actually I'll just jump into the program results. So what we focused on impacting was overall claim payments and reserves, really the dollars paid from the county board. And then focusing the resources at the right point of the claim when it's being reported. We wanted to reduce the time it took to report a claim to get it to the workers' compensation team so we can effectively get the right people to work with that injured worker to really resolve the overall outcome, get that person to back to work, get them into maximum health possible. We also paid focus on the narcotic usage, just given the opioid crisis that was being experienced. And we wanted to make sure that as we resolved the overall historical claims, that we stayed focused on that open inventory and continued to focus on claim resolution. And if you want to go ahead and jump to the next slide, what I'm going to say is basically our partnership has been an overall success. We oversaw the claims, both historical and new ones coming in, and continued to see a significant decrease in the overall workers' compensation spend. We had the continued increase in the percentage of claims that were reported from 0 to 5 days, and that really is a target within that 5-day period to be able to get onto a claim and to be able to address the needs of that injured worker. We've seen continued reduction in the use of narcotics, especially repeated scripts really were very minimal on the overall program. And we also saw a continued reduced number of open claims. And that's just an overview of our overall program. And what I'm going to turn it over to is Bruce Archer, who's the account manager, to discuss some of the details and the numbers that we've experienced together.
Thank you, Darren. What we see here is a significant reduction of payments each year, regardless of the category it is in. In the furthest left-hand column, the total number of payments, regardless of when the claim was received. In 2016, we paid out $3.2 million total. And in 2020, we only paid out $1 million. That was as a result of our closing of your older claims and working very well with Margaret and her team. That's a $2 million reduction. Now, the permanency upticked a little bit in 2 of those years, but that was just because we're closing out your older claims. Next slide, please. We had a goal to reduce the lag time. A lag time is how long it takes the county to get the claim reported to Corvell. And the goal is generally 0 to 5 days. And we achieved that goal in 2020 with 80% of all your claims being reported within 0 to 5 days. Now, the benefit of having quicker reporting is that it creates a positive influence on the injured worker and enables more resources to be marshaled around the injured worker and resulting in a faster return to work. Next slide, please. As Darren alluded to earlier, we made a direct impact on the pharmacy program for the county. Now, pharmacy formularies and prescribing practices have changed over the years due to the opioid crisis. Now, fewer county employees received narcotic prescriptions in 2020 than in 2016. For example, in 2016, the average supply of opioid narcotics was 30 days. And in 2020, that average day supply was 5. And also in 2020, we only had 1 injured worker who had more than 1 single opioid prescription. That's great news. Next slide, please. Our open claims inventory continues to decrease year over year over year, and that is in partnership with Margaret and her team. In 2016, at the end of the policy period, November 30th, there was 103 open claims. As of the end of 2020, that has been significantly reduced down to only 19 non-COVID open claims. Now, when we partner with Margaret and her team, that facilitated a quicker light duty placement. Injured workers were getting the treatment faster. Claims are getting addressed and resolved often in the same policy year, resulting in fewer claims that remain open for large development costs for the county. Next slide, please. With regard to the COVID-19 claims. We separated them out so we could do apples to apples with the regular claims. And in October and November of 2020, at the end of this policy year, there was a late surge in COVID claims. And 27 of those open 34 claims at the end of the policy period were received in October and November. Now, the latest numbers I have for the board, as of April 30th, 2021, there are only 9 open COVID-19 files. Now, for the total number of COVID claims that the county received was 158. And the average incurred for all those 158 claims was $1,055. And with that, I would like to introduce you to Kathy Estock, and she will let you know about Corvell and what we will do in the future. Kathy?
All right, next slide, please. Thank you, Bruce. Good morning. I want to just share some new and exciting offerings in 2021. We continue to invest in technology and virtual medicine. The county has utilized telehealth throughout the COVID pandemic when brick and mortar was on lockdown. We first started providing telehealth back in 2015, well before COVID. We saw a need to prepare and provide an avenue for an injured worker to seek medical treatment without leaving the workplace or the home. We have grown our telemedicine services to include tele-PT, tele-CBT, tele-IME, DME, which is durable medical home delivery, and prescription home delivery, not just 90 days, but delivery for all drugs were available. Our virtual care has increased 300% since 2015. Over the last 2 weeks, we provided more telehealth visits than we did in the first 2 years that we provided it. Next slide, please. We continue to partner with Cook County to reduce claimant dependency on opioids and improve the management of drug use through our clinical modeling. Some of our updates include we've added additional flags and adjusted how we weigh some of the drugs, including opiates. Prior to authorizing medications, we are obtaining detailed information to find out what it is and how it actually relates to the injury. And we've also built in claim-specific injury formularies when it's possible so that we can provide 90-day supply of medication. This is less costly and less pharmacy visits. Next slide, please. The County of DuPage now has access to an application online, Prehab Rehab Surgical app. This helps keep the injured worker conditioned and ready for surgery. The injured worker and nurse partner to better prepare the claimant before surgery and help them to recover more quickly afterwards. As you can see, using this app, an injured worker has 75% less in PT, 45% less in pharmacy, and 57% faster return to work. Next slide, please. Corvell offers a highly effective electronic process to conduct claims reviews. The claim summary hosts all key elements on a claim on one screen. You have details, medical, actions, return to work, a claim timeline, financials. What this does is allows all people that are working on the claim review, adjusters, the county team, any attorneys to actually go in and do a claim review and drill down into that claim. This is all real time and every aspect of the claim is available from this one claim summary. During the audit or claim review, it allows you to make changes to assign IMEs, nurses, update reserves all at the same time. That way you don't have to go back and work for the next 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, updating the claim file. This is also highly effective. If you have 1 or 2 claims that you want to review, comes up, whether they're off time for a long time or the reserves just increased or it just became litigated, you can pick out whichever claims you want and just work on those individually directly from this claim summary. Next slide, please. We continue to make enhancements to the executive dashboard. The team is very familiar with our system, CareMC, and the Edge. We now have new drill down features and enhanced abilities to filter more data. We collect a lot of data, as Bruce has shown you throughout the stewardship, and now you're able to sort by the majority of those fields. It allows the user more actionable insights to drill down to that data and how you got it. Updated financial view with cumulative financial trend graphs. You can compare data day to day, month to month, year to year, and a visualization of injury profile. You can view an injury for a particular claim or a department, and what it does is help you figure out what injuries are driving your cost. You can also go and compare. If you did a safety program and worked on shoulder injuries, you come back and now shoulder injuries are better, but then you're seeing back. So it just allows you to see trending how the injuries are occurring. We've also added a benchmark view, and the benchmark view allows DuPage to compare to DuPage, to compare to our entire Corville book of business, and to compare to other municipalities similar to the county. We work with our customers like the county to further enhance our system and what is available and bring those tools to the county to further reduce cost. Next slide.
Thanks, Kathy. On behalf of Corvell, I think what we've shown here is that we're always continuing to push innovation and to evolve. We've talked about the retrospective process, how we can get into claims at an early phase, but then also continue to push the increased use of telehealth and provide access to care for the injured workers, and also give the information with regard to the details of a claim to the county so they can see what's going on real time rather than waiting for what has historically been quarterly reviews. And with the idea that we're focused on the proactive approach, getting and removing all of the time that's spent on trying to close old claims because they have been closed, we're able to make sure we stay forward thinking. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pat to talk about the injury prevention program.
Good morning, Pat Genovese here, Risk Manager. I'd just like to present just a quick summary of our risk management injury prevention program we have here at the county. We have employee safety and workers' compensation training countywide. We start at new employee orientation. The theme there is to get smart, use safety from the start. We provide safety inspections at our county facilities and assist in reviewing all injuries from a lessons learned perspective. So how can we prevent a similar injury in the future? And we share that with the appropriate departments. We have our safety policies and procedures that are online, both the intranet and internet. And we have over 100 toolbox talks, which are 5-minute safety talks for the supervisors to present staff, reinforcing our countywide culture of safety. Next, please. In 2019, we trained over 1,100 staff on over 27 safety topics. We continue to add online virtual safety training and conducted over 100 ergonomic workstation evaluations. We were the first county in the state to develop a policy and training for our weatherization staff to comply with new OSHA IDOL safety regulations. Next. Our total work comp claims and expense comparison from 2016 to 2020, as you can see, in 2016, we had over 446 claims for an excess of $3 million. In 2020, that has been reduced to 89 claims with just over $1 million in cost. Next. An example of how we have done this is through working with the care center. We've identified soft tissue injuries at the care center, and in 12 months, reduced those injuries from 35 to 15. And in 2019, there were 3. The reduction of injuries resulted in 86% reduction in compensation cost from $460,000 to $15,000. And year to date, there have been 0 soft tissue injuries at the care center. Next, I'd like to open this up to any questions that the board may have to either Corvell or myself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from any of the board members? Member Rutledge?
Thank you, Chairwoman. My question is impressive numbers, first of all. But my question is, what was the impact of COVID on those 2020 numbers, and do we expect an increase now that life is getting a little more back to normal?
Bruce, I think you have the numbers for the COVID claims on the 2020 numbers.
Well, there was 158 total COVID claims, and in the last policy year, there's only 89 claims total. So broken out between the, I think that as more people get back to work, there might be potential for more people to potentially get injured, but it's not something that you can just, I don't know, you can't predict what's going to happen. But the overall trending with Pat's safety program, all the numbers for the county has decreased year over year. So if it stays even this year, that'll be awesome. If it upticks just a little bit, that's just because more people have come back to work. But I have a feeling it's going to stay right around the same.
What I can say is, in a general looking, nationally, what's transpired with COVID, what we've seen is delays in treatment, delays in the ability to return back to work because there wasn't modified duty because of COVID-related distancing. So what we typically have seen with other clients is some of the costs for the indemnity have increased, and we have not seen that with the county. So I would say that the effect of COVID has been minimized by just being able to address of those claims actively going as they've come in. And I think Bruce had indicated that we have, I think there's 9 remaining open files now. And also the other thing that we've seen is people become vaccinated, the number of claims has significantly dropped as well.
Appreciate the details. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much for your time today. It was a very good informational presentation. I appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have our presentation for our deferred compensation plan with Ms. Rowe.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Board. My name is Vince Allegra. I'm one of the Senior Managing Directors at Mesro Financial that assisted the county in consolidating the deferred comp plans. If we could skip to slide 17, the first part of the presentation is kind of a market overview, talk about the roller coaster of the last 18 months, but I think we'll focus on the county's deferred comp plan. So a little background for the board. Mesro was engaged by the county back in 2018 to run a formal evaluation of the county's deferred comp 457 plans. At the time, the county utilized 5 different vendors. Total plan assets were around 60 million. Total fees back in 2018 were about 1.12%. Based on the aggregate between the 5 different vendors. So the decision to maximize the value of the plans, reduce the fees, and make this the most competitive plan possible, the county decided to consolidate with 1 vendor. And the winner of the RFP, which was run back in the winter of 2018, was ICMA. So all of the plans consolidated at ICMA throughout 2019, and we went live at ICMA with 1 plan for the county in September of 2019. So we are celebrating right now basically 18 months being live under the consolidated platform. So we're going to give you an update today. I'm going to focus on the investment side, give you an investment update. And then I'll bring in the team from ICMA to talk more about the efforts on the participant enrollment and education. But on this slide, I wanted to focus on first the plan asset allocation. So on the right-hand side, this shows where the money has been allocated amongst all county participants. And to remind the board again, during the consolidation process, again, we were going from 5 vendors down to 1. The consolidation process was if you were in a money market or stable value or fixed account, those assets consolidated with the stable value at ICMA. Otherwise, all your dollars, no matter how it was allocated, went into the target date funds based on your date of birth, if you did nothing. But all participants were given a 30-day window during the consolidation to move money around. And since we've been live in September of 2019, all participants can go in anytime they want and reallocate their dollars. But on the right-hand side, the top right, I just want to point out that still 18 months later, about 55% of plan assets are still in the target date funds, and about 22% are still in stable value. So that does mean about 75% of county participants that did not make any changes over the last 18 months and just went through with the consolidation process. But of the remaining 25% of participants, you can see all of the other investments were proactively chosen by your employees. The largest individual holding that was selected is the 6.6 million in the Fidelity 500 Index Fund, which represents a little over 8% of plan assets. The irony there is that is the lowest expense mutual fund in existence. Total fees are 1.5 basis points, the lowest in the entire universe. When we look at how employees allocated dollars, you'll see that we did have some money flow into the self-directed brokerage account, where participants can kind of do it on their own or hire an outside advisor to assist them. But then once we go below that, by far, the most popular decision were the low-cost index options within the plan. I'd like to also highlight at the bottom of this page on the left, the largest individual holding in the plan besides the stable value is the BlackRock LifePath Index Retirement, second from the bottom with 12.8 million. That represents county participants age 65 or older. If we add the 2025 fund at the bottom, and if we can go to the next page, please, and the 9.1 million in the 2030 fund, basically this plan has about $30 million with participants age 55 or older. So definitely an older demographic amongst the participants in the county deferred comp plan. I'd like to point out the largest actual investment is the 17.5 million in the stable value fund. We'll talk about that in more detail. But if we go to the next page, please. The good news is total plan assets at a new all-time high at 81 million. When we did the RFP at the end of 2018, total plan assets were 60 million. And during that period, we just had a little bit of that global pandemic thrown in. But despite the challenges, the plan is in phenomenal shape today. If we go to the next page, this is the investment allocation of the plan. So participants and employees of DuPage County, when they log into their ICMA deferred comp, they have the ability to choose whatever investments they want. The county decides which investments are allowed within the plan. So here you will see all of the different equity investment options. The ones that are in red means that they tripped our monitoring criteria for the quarter. So they did not meet expectations for the quarter based on the investment policy statement that Mesro wrote for the committee. I'll spend a little bit more time on each of them. We actually had 3 trip for the quarter. But anything that is in black means it is meeting or exceeding expectations. The number in parentheses represents the percent of plan assets that are in that investment option. If we go to the next page, this represents all of our fixed income options and also the asset allocation, which are the target dates and balance funds. So again, there were 3 investment options that I'll touch base on that were not quite meeting expectations for this quarter. Next slide, please. One more. So here's our executive summary. So now that we have roughly 18 months of history with the consolidated plan, we can kind of go back and look at each investment option and determine, did it meet or fail our criteria for the quarter. So you'll see that we've had a couple funds that are popped on and popped off watch, so I'll review that. Funds that have fallen off watch since our last meeting include the one at the top, which is the Boston Partners All Cap Value. And then also kind of in the middle, our Oberweis International Opportunities Fund. Keep that name in mind as I walk through the investment presentation. But failing for the quarter, Prime Cap Odyssey Growth and Janus Henderson, first quarter on watch. We'll talk about those in more detail. Next slide, please. And our Principal Global Diversified Income. You'll see with two of those three watch list items, we've seen significant performance improvement over the last 12 months. Next slide, please. So this is our formal investment review document. So Mesro, which is signed onto the county plan as an ERISA 321 fiduciary. Mesro's job is to pick and oversee all of the investment options within the plan. And then we run quarterly performance reports comparing the investment options in the county's deferred comp plan versus peers and benchmarks. I know they're probably difficult to read, but how to read the report. I'll talk about our first investment option, the Boston Partners All Cap Value. The county has about $278,000 of participant money invested in that option. Year to date, that fund is up 11.8%. But that number in parentheses, that is the number we really do pay attention to. That's the peer group ranking. We want to see numbers 50 or lower. Lower the better when it comes to peer group ranking. For this fund, the peers, which is right below that, were up 11.19, and its benchmark was up 11.26. So that 41 in parentheses means that it is beating more than 50% of its peers. So again, this fund, which was on watch a year ago, over the trailing 1 year period was up almost 63% versus its peers and benchmarks up 55 to 56%. So moving down to our first watch list under large growth, our Prime Cap Odyssey Growth. This is a manager that did start struggling in 2018 before we actually owned the fund within the county plan. But if you look at the year-to-date performance, the fund is one of the best performing large cap growth funds in the entire universe, up over 11%, beating 98% of its peers. Over the last 1 year period, the fund is up over 70%, beating about 80% of its peers. So again, the fund did have one difficult quarter back in Q4 of 2018. We did not own the fund back then, but that's what really is triggering the fund being on watch. Given the significant improvement over the last 12 months, we do expect this to fall off watch shortly. Next slide, please. I'd like to highlight our small cap value. The numbers are just pretty incredible to review this report. On the top of the page, our small cap value, American Century. If you look at that 1 year number, up over 108% over the trailing 12 months. But believe it or not, that is not the best performing investment within the county's deferred comp plan. Small growth, Janus Henderson Triton. They are triggering a watch list across the board. The issue with this fund is it's a quality bias. It is not allowed to invest in unprofitable companies, which has caused it to be underweight some of the higher flying technology growth and biotech names in its peer group. That has caused it to underperform during this significant rally over the last 5-10 years. But we've seen some good improvement here recently with some of the recent volatility. So a good high quality manager with a great long-term track record and its higher quality bias is causing some underperformance, but we're not at the point where we think we need to make any changes. Next slide, please. At the top of the list, wanted to point out one of our funds that was on watch a year ago, our Oberweis International. is no longer on watch because of that 1-year number. This investment option was up over 115%. So again, this shows what a good quality manager. We do see periods where they do have some underperformance. As long as nothing is structurally changed, we tend to always see a recovery, as we saw with Oberweis. So a significant bounce back over the last 12 months, making this fund one of the best performing international growth funds in existence. Next slide, please. We get into our target date funds, which are BlackRock LifePath. BlackRock is a low cost index-based target date fund. So it's based on an employee's birthday and how many years they have until they turn 65. So you can see on this page, we look at all of the county participants that are age 55 and older are in these 3 options. And look at a trailing 1-year period, these investments were up anywhere from 22 to 35%. So despite all of the volatility with COVID, the BlackRock target date funds have performed exceptionally well. Next slide. Next slide, please. I wanted to highlight the largest individual holding in the plan at the bottom of this slide, the Vantage Point Plus Fund, which is our stable value option with a little bit over $17.5 million. Over the trailing 1-year period, this is our money market or cash alternative. Over the trailing 1-year period, this fund hit a net return of 2.12%, making it one of the top performing stable value funds in the entire universe. I wanted to bring up this fund and highlight because during the consolidation process, there was a small group of vocal participants that felt like they were negatively impacted by the consolidation because they had almost all of their money tied up in old insurance contracts that had minimum guaranteed rates of return. One was 3.5%, the other was 3.5%. So those participants during the consolidation felt like they were being negatively impacted by moving to this one at a little over 2%. I wanted to report back to the committee and let you know that over the last 18 months, especially during COVID, those insurance companies that had those minimum guarantees, all of those guarantees reset. And they lowered those rates significantly from 3% to now in the 1 to 2% range. So if the county did nothing, those guarantees, those old guarantees would have gone away. And actually, the current investment option over 2% is one of the highest rates you're going to find in the market today. Next slide, please. Our last investment option is our Principal Global Diversified Income. You can see we're seeing substantial improvement here on a year-to-date and 1-year basis with this fund up over 25%, significantly ahead of its peer groups and benchmarks. So this is another investment option we expect to fall off watch here shortly. Next slide, please. One more, please. One more, please. One more, please. A lot of information here in case you guys have some extra time. So talking about fees on the top left, now that we have 18 months of data, the total weighted investment fees within the county deferred comp plan is on the top left there, 0.22%, 22 basis points. So that's the net weighted expense ratio of the $81 million based on how participants have allocated their money. Again, rewinding pre-consolidation, the total investment fees of the county's plan was 1.12. So this represents about an 80% fee reduction, which actually came in even better than the RFP projections at 0.27. So the results are even better than we anticipated pre-consolidation. Next slide. I'll wrap up on this chart before I turn it over to the ICMA team. Performance. So again, it's fees are really important, but also performance is important. So now that we have 1 year of history on the top right, the trailing 1-year return of the county's deferred comp plan was over 30%. That includes with over 20% of the plan sitting in cash. So a great total return. What is even more impressive is when we get into some of the modern portfolio theory statistics or MPT statistics on the right. I want to highlight actually back one, please. Or forward one, excuse me. Yes, under alpha, alpha is a statistical representation of how did the managers perform versus their passive benchmarks. So the county's plan, the $81 million that your employees have in the deferred comp, generated an extra 1.23% in excess return over their passive benchmarks. You multiply that by $81 million, and that equals about $1 million in excess performance because our managers have done a really nice job in a very difficult market. So I think the summary here on the investment side, the plan is in phenomenal shape. We have 3 very marginal watch list items. We expect at least 2 of those to fall off watch within the next couple quarters. And the plan as a whole has generated a significant outperformance and exceeded expectations in the aggregate. So I would pause there to answer any questions on the investment side before we turn it over to the ICMA team to talk about some of the education and participant efforts.
Thanks so much. Do we have any questions from any members today? Okay, there are no questions today, so thank you so much for coming. It was a great presentation, and we look forward to hearing from ICMA next. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Good morning. This is Ray Fortin with ICMARC.
Morning.
I'm just waiting for the presentation to get loaded up. Thank you. As I said, I'm Ray Fortin with ICMARC. Along with me is Mark Garapolo and Kim Brownlee. The service team responsible for the DuPage County retirement plans. If you would go to the next page, please. If you could move forward, please. One of the things I wanted to mention is we are rebranding. We are changing our name to Mission Square Retirement. This is a process we've been working on for some time. We've been in existence for almost 50 years and known as ICMARC, but we are rebranding to better recognize our ongoing efforts with how we're growing our business. Although we are not changing our mission, serving those who serve our own communities. But I just thought I'd want to mention that to the board that we are going through a rebranding effort and changing our name to Mission Square Retirement. Next page, please. Well, 2020 brought a lot of changes to all of us with COVID-19. And I think along with everybody at the county, our organization adapted well and was continuing to service all the employees who were part of the retirement plans. If you would go to the next page, please. How we did that through a lot of data-driven solutions. We were able to personalize the information for all your participants in a way that they could easily understand the information. We provided a tremendous amount of financial education and from a holistic perspective, how we engaged in each of your employees. I will show you on the next page, please. That employee experience, employee engagement was through a lot of different ways. It's through our website, through our mobile app, emails, social sites, webinars. We did tremendous amount of consultations, videos, etc. And I'll show you some statistics here in 1 minute. You go to the next page, please. So here's, you can see the educational activity from 2020 and year to date through 2021. One-on-one consultations with various employees. You can 60 in 2020. COVID hit in mid-March, so we transitioned to a virtual environment. And there you can see we had over 200 phone or virtual one-on-one meetings, resulting in 98 in plan enrollments into the 457 plan. We did group presentations on tax planning and market volatility. In 2021, unfortunately, we're still not able to get on site yet, but we look forward to that happening very soon. The first 3 months of the year, we had over 100 phone and virtual one-on-one meetings and had 31 enrollments. Since the consolidation to our organization from the 5 different vendors to the 1, as Vince had mentioned, we had over 200 new enrollees into the plan. So you should be very proud of that. Margaret and her team are very, in human resources, are very pivotal in helping us get access to these employees and promote the merits of saving for retirement and why it's important for them to save in retirement. At the bottom page here, you can see each month we conducted financial planning webinars and the topics that were discussed in each month. That planning continues. If you go to the next page, please. You can see for the rest of the year, from a national perspective, we have targeted monthly campaigns, and these are the various themes for each month that we are making presentations on. Next page, please. September through the end of the year. These national campaigns, along with what Kim is doing on the ground with customized education program and customized education campaign, working with Margaret and her team to deliver a more customized approach to the individuals, targeting employees from an education perspective on their investment options, how much they should be saving in retirement, and getting them into the plan. The next page, please. In addition to those campaigns, we have our 2021 schedule of financial planning webinars that outlines, again, other educational initiatives that we're focused on. And these webinars are conducted by certified financial planners who are part of our organization. So these are a little more in-depth topics, but again, we get quite a bit of access from the employees to get educated on why they should be saving and how much they should be saving. Next page, please. The next several pages, I'm going to go through just some quick demographic data analysis information. If you go to the next page, please. All this data is as of the end of the first quarter, coincide with Vince's report for the first quarter. And I will echo his comments on the maturity of the demographics of the plan. You can see here on the right-hand side, the orange and the yellow represent the age groups of 50 to 69. That represents 68% of your population that are invested in the 457 plan. So you do have a mature plan. On the right-hand side, again, echoing Vince's comments, the light blue color in the pie chart represents those individuals at just shy of 60% are invested in the balanced or asset allocation funds, though target date investment options. Next page, please. This asset allocation trend, this chart at the top, you can see this goes back to 2018. We consolidated the plans in 2019, as we discussed. And so you can see a big jump in that light blue from where the money used to be invested to, and then upon consolidation from 5 to 1 vendor, and how the participants moved from their investments from allocating all over the map, from equities, fixed income, asset allocation, to the majority being invested in the asset allocation funds, which are diversified, and this is where we really want them to be from a diversification perspective. Next page, please. Again, this is represented participant status. The green bars represent those that are actively contributing into the plan. The blue bar is active, but they're not contributing anything to the plan. And then the yellow represents those that are separated from service, either terminated employment or in retirement status. There's a little over 600 individuals that are currently contributing to the 457 plan, 95 that are active but not contributing, and over 470 individuals that are separated from service as of March 31st, 2021. That same information is broken out by age group. You can see that at the bottom, with the majority of the individuals in the plan in the age group 50 to 69 years of age. Next page, please. This focuses on contributions and distributions into the plan, broken out by year. And again, you can see the jump from 2019 to 2020 with the consolidation, a little over $4.9 million when it was contributed into the plan. From a disbursement or participant distribution perspective, a little over 5.7 million came out in 2020. Year to date, 2021, you can see we're trending on a bit of a positive cash flow. You can see the numbers there in 2021, 953,000 coming in, 951,000 going out. Lastly, last page, although this this plan annualized return, it's because it's a participant directed plan, which means the individual, each participant gets to choose their own investment options. Their own return is what they really care about. But we have a lot of committees that ask, well, how did the plan do overall? So from a plan perspective, overall, the annualized return with all the investment options was over 16% for the year ending March 31st. So March 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2021, a 16.4% annualized rate of return for the plan as a whole. And that goes along with where we were in the pandemic, the ups and downs and the volatility we saw in the marketplace. So I think that's a testament to Vince and his team with the great selections they chose for the investment choices for participants to give us that type of return. That is it from our presentation perspective. I will open it up to any questions the board may have.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? Member Chavez, please.
So I just wanted to thank all three entities for their presentation today. I think this really speaks to what the county's doing to help our employees obviously save for the future and also reduce our costs here at the county. I did have a question for those 95 active but not contributing employees. What are we doing to reach out to them?
Well, that's a great question. We see from an industry perspective, a trend during COVID with people getting cut back in their time of ability to work and other things, that those numbers, the active non-contributing, did increase a bit. But we do have targeted campaigns where we are reaching out to them. Kim, our retirement plan specialist, as part of her role, does reach out to those individuals if we have their contact information. That's why we always push for participants to sign up with their email and contact information into the system so we can reach out to them. We're not soliciting them by any means, but for things of this nature, we try to reach out to them when we see that people are still employed, but for whatever reason decided not to contribute. So we do target them to try to get them to get back and start contributing again.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to wrap up the session. We have to get to executive session. So thank you so much for your presentation today. All of them were very informative, so we appreciate you coming out. We're going to push back Jeff's audit, if that's okay, until our next finance meeting. You guys, we're running a little late. Before we go into executive sessions, two things really quick. To answer Don's question about the $20 in the animal care, that was a vet tech intern. So that was a little more specialized. So that's why that's out there, but you will be getting some information from Margaret going forward. And on the budget calendar, there was a typo. So we'll be getting a correct calendar for county board, but the date for the county board chairman to do his presentation to the county board was originally listed as the 21st of September, and it really should be the 28th. So we'll get that in county board. But with that, I will entertain a motion for the board to go into executive session, FIR 029221, to review executive session minutes. So we have a second by member Schwarzy, or a motion by member Schwarzy, a second by member Zay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to adjourn to executive session. Great. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're coming back into session, so can we please have a roll call?
Member Chaplin,
Here.
Member Chavez, Member Covert, Member Desart,
Here.
Member DeCiani, Member Eckhoff, Member Garcia,
Here.
Member Hart, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante,
Here.
Member Ozog, Member Pachowski, Member Renahan, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy.
Here.
Member Selman, Member Tonatori.
Here.
Member Zay.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. So we move on to item number 17, matters referred from executive session. I'll entertain a motion on FIR 029221 resolution review of finance executive session minutes. We have a motion by member Torrentori, a second by member Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. And I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion by member Garcia, second by member LaPlante. Any discussion? Okay, roll call or